Hi, welcome and thank you for joining our Winning at Wellness webinar, Feeding the Future, Transformative Strategies for School Nutrition. Next slide. Thank you. Just a bit of housekeeping. The audio connection is through your microphone and speakers of your computer or your mobile device. If you're having audio difficulty, click on the arrow next to the mute button to test your speakers and microphone, and you can follow the prompts. Please keep your microphone muted to eliminate background noise. And we have reserved time at the end for question and answers, so please feel free to put any questions into the chat at any time for our host. And a link to the webinar recording and a PDF of the presentation slides will be sent to you after the webinar. Next slide. Our professional standards are listed. The key areas: administration 3,000, communications and marketing 4,000. And as you can see, we have the training topics and the learning objectives there for you. And the total professional standards credit is 90 minutes. Next slide. Our moderators for today are Jamie Lamb, Project Manager with Dairy Council of California, and Rita Palmer, Training Manager with Leah's Pantry. Next, I'd like to pass it off to Jamie.
Thank you, Heather, for that warm welcome. Welcome everyone to our Winning at Wellness webinar. Before we start, I'd like to share a little bit more about the California Local School Wellness Policy Collaborative. We are a statewide collaborative that brings together leaders committed to improving student wellness and academic success. Our mission is as a catalyst for school communities and stakeholders to implement highly effective school wellness policies in California and to support student health and academic achievement. And our goals are to build broad support for local school wellness policy implementation and assist districts in revising their wellness policies. And now I'd like to ask Rita to share the objectives with everyone.
Thank you, Jamie. So by the end of our webinar today, we will have explored the successes and challenges and opportunities of the Universal School Meals for the years 2021 through 2023. We will also have identified innovative, impactful strategies to increase community engagement and support of Universal School Meals. We are pleased to have the following panelists representing 5 organizations on this webinar today, and they'll be sharing successes, challenges, and promising opportunities that the Universal School Meals offer. Our panelists are Rachel Nako from Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, Allison Foote for Action for Healthy Kids, Emma Kitzman from Action for Healthy Kids, Chelsea Slattery from the Yuba City Unified School District, Jamie Phillips from the Del Mar Union School District, and Dave Palmer from Dunk Take Marketing. Each organization will have the floor for 10 to 15 minutes, and following their presentations, we will open the floor for questions. If you have questions during the presentation, please, again, feel free to use the chat box to submit your questions to the host at any time during the presentation. I'm going to now turn it over to Rachel, who will be our first panelist speaker.
Hello, everyone. I am so happy to be here and to see so many of you all online today. I'm Rachel Monaco. I'm the Senior Manager of Policy and Advocacy at Second Harvest of Silicon Valley. We're the regional food bank that covers San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. If you're not totally sure where that is, San Jose is where I am based today. So happy to be here. Sorry, Jamie, I think the slide change isn't working. Thank you. So I hope that everyone on the call today knows that California is the first state in the nation to guarantee that all TK through 12th grade students are able to eat 2 meals each day at school at no cost to them. 8 other states across the country have now passed a similar version of this legislation, and there are around 25 others who have campaigns underway to have their own universal school meals program in place. So we should all feel really, really proud that California is such a great trailblazer in this space. Sorry. So I have worked really closely with our local UC Cooperative Extension to understand the successes and challenges and future possible opportunities related to universal school meals, specifically by talking to food services staff in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties. We first touched base with them in 2021, so before California's free school meal program went into effect, and as well as last spring. So the data that I'm sharing today is from that time period. And we really just had very open, broad questions. We asked them to share at a very high level their first experience with California's free school meal program. What challenges that they're seeing, what bright spots do they see, and if they themselves had any suggestions for things to improve. Honestly, the responses were very consistent. The number one response that we received is that across the board, schools saw an increase in meal service participation. Some districts anecdotally reported anywhere from 20% to 400% increases in the number of meals that they were serving. Those higher numbers actually came from their high school districts, not the elementary school districts, which we thought was really interesting. And then through last school year, through 2023, schools really reported that that increase had kind of held steady. A recent report from the Food Research and Action Center shows that statewide, California saw an increase in school meal consumption of 12% pre-pandemic and through last school year. We also heard that there was more socioeconomic diversity in who was eating school meals. Even our districts that had already put into place the community eligibility provision, those districts still reported more kids eating school meals. Across the board, there was this feeling that now that school meals have become more normalized, that those students who are middle income, so who didn't meet the income thresholds for the federal free meals requirement, that who are missing out on those meals, that they felt that they were able to consume meals at school as well. Also, there's decreased stigma, no meal debt. Again, school meals are available to everyone, so everyone eats school meals. It's just part of the day. Finally, we've heard that scratch cooking has been very well received. The state has been fairly generous in providing funding to support upgrading school kitchens and supporting training for staff and programs like Farm to School. So more schools are using these resources to serve healthier, more nutritious, more appealing meals to their kids. However, there are some ongoing challenges. And I will say, though we heard this from last year, it is still true today. School districts are consistently reporting continued issues around supply chain. So they are still having last-minute cancellations on orders. They're still having issues trying to project what their school menus will be for the next month and having to run to Costco at the last minute or some other local wholesaler to fill in the gaps as best as they can in order to serve a full and complete meal. Staffing also continues to be a challenge. At our first survey back in 2021, not a single school district in San Mateo and Santa Clara County reported being fully staffed. At our last survey last year, only 2 or 3 school districts felt that they were fully staffed. And I will also add that we really haven't seen an increase in the number of staff positions available at school districts. In fact, one of those school districts that said they were fully staffed had actually cut positions. So they didn't really have more resources available to them. They just, didn't have those positions anymore. Finally, consistently, children simply do not have enough time to eat their meals. Though meal participation has increased so much, the infrastructure and staffing support to serve those meals has not caught up to that level of demand. At one elementary school district in our region, we learned that they only had 17 minutes for the younger grades to get to their lunch line. So that included time to transition from the classroom to get through the line, eat their meal, and then go out to recess. 17 minutes simply isn't enough when you're having hundreds of kids who have to get through the line. There's also this really consistent note that there's a suspicion that this is a limiting factor for a continued increase in meal service. That kids get to the lunchroom, they see this long line, they say, no way, not going to happen. So they just opt out of even trying. And now we have a little bit of an interactive exercise for you. You can scan this QR code, or at the top of the slide, there's a website called menti.com with a code. We would love to know what challenges you're seeing in your region, and a word cloud should appear. I hope, a word cloud. Will it be? Is it working, Jamie?
It's working
Oh,
on
great.
this slide
you.
here. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Rita. Yeah, so it's all really consistent with what we heard, I think, up here in San Mateo and Santa Clara County. think I think that sounds right. That's pretty universal then. That's time to eat, staffing, supply chain issues all continue to be kind of some of the biggest issues that school food services staff are seeing as it relates to universal free school meals. I am not surprised to see all of this. I see food waste popping up too, not having an actual kitchen. Yes, absolutely. We have several school districts that do not have any kitchen space at all in our area. Yeah, great, thank you. Jamie, are you able to save this so we can send it out with the slides? Perfect. Thank you all so much for sharing that. Great. So moving on to some suggestions for opportunities to support the implementation of universal school meals. If I can get the slide to change. Sorry, Jamie. There we go. Okay, no, we went too far. So one great opportunity is that in our region, at least, there were actually quite a few schools that had never served breakfast at all before. So with the requirement that schools had to serve a second meal, most often breakfast, there was this wonderful chance for schools to, right from the start, implement best practices. Breakfast after the bell is a great way to increase breakfast participation at schools. And there are three main models of this that we've seen work really well. The first is breakfast in the classroom. This is most common, I think, in like kindergarten, first grade age, where the meals are served directly in the classroom. So the kids don't have to transition at all. You just have to bring in the food and then take out the leftovers. Another common method is second chance breakfast. My daughter calls this brunch. So in the middle of the morning, the kids will transition either to the cafeteria, or if they have a morning recess, maybe a cart is rolled out to the recess field, and kids are able to eat breakfast in the mid-morning time. There's also grab and go breakfast, which works really well for higher grades that are transitioning in between classes, where carts are rolled out strategically through the hallways and kids are able to grab their meal as they go on to their next class. Sorry, now the slide change is not working for me again. There we go. Okay. A next great opportunity is increased family engagement. So now that more students are able to eat meals at school, families are more aware of school meals themselves. So caregivers have more incentive to be an active participant in the nutrition that their children are receiving. So this is a great chance for schools to interface with families to understand cultural preferences or dietary needs that are specific to their local population and try to match the meal menus that they're providing to meet those unique needs. For nutrition educators, this is also a great opportunity to do a little bit of education with the families that you're serving. There's kind of the stigma that school meals are not healthy, that they're unappealing, yada, yada, yada. But nutrition educators can take time to help explain to families what the makeup of school meals is. All right, Jamie, can you go to the next slide for me? Thank you. Next is addressing the time to eat issue, which I saw pop up on that word cloud quite a few times. Bell schedules are set at the local level, so schools can make adjustments to their school day to address the time to eat issue. Another great opportunity here is to consider moving recess before lunch. So especially for those schools that are offering that mid-morning break, by increasing the time in between breakfast and lunch service, there's more chance for students to actually consume the full meal. This simple switch has been proven to increase student consumption of those more nutritious foods like the fruit and the vegetable and the dairy product that are also the most often wasted items from the school meal. So this very simple switch can help support the school meal service in a variety of ways. Next is workforce development. Also saw staffing pop up quite a few times in that word cloud. We really feel that kitchen staff should be paid a livable wage for their area, and they should also be eligible for full-time benefits. We found through our survey here locally that the kitchen staff were often the lowest paid members of the school workforce. They were often paid less than your local Starbucks barista, for example, and they were often scheduled in such a way that they were just short of being eligible for those full-time benefits. These are equity changes that we can make to support workforce development. We could also consider creative opportunities for building a career pathway by partnering with culinary institutes or community colleges or other educational resources to help build up an interest and a pathway towards working in a school food service. Direct certification data matching is another opportunity for local counties to improve the number of students who are being correctly identified as eligible for direct certification. I did just get a time warning, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, but I'll share that in Santa Clara County, Second Harvest coordinates a data match between our county Office of Education and our Social Services Agency using fuzzy matching or probabilistic matching, and we're able to find roughly between 6 to 8% more students who are not identified during the state's monthly match. So through that way, we're able to increase that unduplicated pupil count, as well as increase eligibility for offering programs like summer meals open to the community or student eligibility for Sunbucks. So this is a great opportunity for local counties to try to improve access to funding opportunities there. And also, we want to protect universal school meals. As the state is facing a budget deficit, there has been some grumblings at the legislative level that we should defund this program. They're questioning, why are we offering free meals to all of these kids? The answer is that because it's important. So we need to keep pushing for additional funding for school meals, including projections for increased meal participation and infrastructure upgrades, which we all know are sorely needed for our school kitchens. And finally, at the federal level, we hope to one day see a child nutrition reauthorization bill, which fully overhauls the school meal service. The last time this bill was passed was in 2010 with the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act, and a revise is now very, very overdue. This is the most direct opportunity to increase meal reimbursement rates, update nutrition standards, review mealtime best practices, support programs like Farm to School, and lots more. Though I will say I just saw that the added sugar ruling was just changed by the USDA, so that is something that we can celebrate. And finally, I want to leave you all with a plug for the Universal School Meals Hub, which is hosted by the UCCE. Here is a one-stop shop for resources related to family engagement strategies, marketing materials for school meal service, a list of available grants that are available to support your school kitchens, staff development, things of that nature, professional development opportunities, and lots more. And there's a link here. Thank you so much. I am now going to pass it over to Allison.
Great, thank you so much. Let me take a second to get myself organized here. And Jamie, I think what I'll do is just ask that you navigate through the slides to avoid any challenges. That would be, I think, the best way to go. So, okay, hi everyone. It's so great to be back here with you in California all today. I am here among friends, and Emma Kitzman and I are here to share information about the Healthy Meals Incentives Initiative, which we generally refer to as HMI. So you'll hear us refer to it as HMI throughout the presentation. The HMI initiative was established by USDA Food and Nutrition Service to improve the nutritional quality of school meals through food systems transformation, school food authority recognition and technical assistance, the generation and sharing of innovative ideas and tested practices, and grants. Action for Healthy Kids entered into a cooperative agreement with USDA last year to manage the elements of HMI in partnership with Chef Ann Foundation and RMC Health. The next slide, please. Thank you. So here are the three components within this initiative that USDA, FNS, and Action for Healthy Kids is leading along with our partners. The first is grants for small and rural SFAs. These grants are intended to help small and or rural SFAs or school food authorities overcome any challenges they are experiencing in improving the nutritional quality of their school meals. We have 264 small and or rural SFAs that were awarded up to $150,000 to support this goal, totaling approximately $30 million in grants that were distributed. The second piece of HMI is the recognition awards for school food authorities. So the recognition awards celebrate school food authorities that have made improvements to the nutritional quality of their school meals. And I'll share a little bit more about this exciting program in just a few minutes. And then the third piece of HMI that we're working on are the Healthy Meals Summits. So the Healthy Meals Summits are for recognition award recipients. The summits will recognize award winners, present best practices and lessons learned, and discuss strategies for sustaining achievements into the future. And our first Healthy Meals Summit is in October of this year. It's going to be held in Las Vegas, so not terribly far from you all. So that's an overview, just an introduction to HMI. On the next few slides, Emma will share more about the work she is doing with several of our grantees in California, and then I'll be back to share more about the recognition awards and the summit. So handing it over to Emma.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Allison, so much for that introduction. I am a nutrition program manager and for the HMI project, and I am over the west, southwestern state of Illinois. So definitely I'm very involved with the state of California, and I will say doing amazing, amazing things. So over the next few slides, I'm just going to highlight some school food authorities that I feel need to be elevated and some their message needs to be shared. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about Carpinteria Unified School District, and they are located just about 12 miles southeast of Santa Barbara, and they have a student population of approximately 2,000 in their K through 12. Their nutrition department serves meals out of 6 school kitchens, and they also have a central kitchen facility that heavily supports meal preparation. Before receiving the HMI grant, the nutrition program was dealing with a lack of staff due to budget cuts, insufficient training to support scratch cooking, and not enough adequate storage space to hold fresh foods. By being awarded the HMI grant, the nutrition department has been able to hire additional kitchen staff and also attend a 3-day culinary in-person training. At the training event, the team representing 9 nutrition team members were led through a series of scratch cooking skill building workshops that are relatable to school food preparation. This unique experience provided a solid foundation in kitchen basics, especially focusing on efficiency, cooking techniques, and food safety. Their next project is to complete the purchase of additional food storage space. With the recent adoption of universal free meals in California, the district has seen an increase in both breakfast and lunch meal participation. So yay. This additional meal revenue is planned to continue to support the staff positions funded by the HMI grant. The nutrition department also plans to continue on with their culinary trainings to invest in their staff and to continue their scratch cooking aspirations. The investment that is being made to have skilled, confident school nutrition workers is wonderful to see, and definitely we've touched on that already. So we're going to advance to our next school district to highlight, please. I think, Jamie, are you doing slides?
Yes, it should be on Newman Pros Landing.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. And our next one is Newman Crows Landing Unified School District. They are located just on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley. This district is made up of 9 schools and has approximately 3,000 students and also K through 12. Prior to receiving the HMI grant, the program really struggled retaining skilled staff and to be able to sustain and even build their scratch cooking program. They had a lack of production time and employee confidence, and it was definitely creating a barrier to expand their program. They were also in critical need of basic kitchen tools, especially smallware such as knives, pots and pans, and hot, cold serving utensils. So really lacking just the basic tools to do their job. The nutrition program lacked connection also with the district and also with the external partners. They wanted to also build a relationship with the high school's agricultural department, as well as other local community partners that would help support scratch cooking. The district recently switched from a contracted meal service company, so definitely connection and marketing for the community was much needed. Since being awarded the HMI grant, the district has hired a highly qualified chef to assist with menu development, recipe testing, and implement staff training and skill building. Data supports already a positive impact on meal service participation and staff retention. The nutrition program is currently working on kitchen equipment purchases and hopes to have it completed in the coming months. The next grant-related project will be focused on cultivating a sustainable relationship with the district's agricultural program. They already have an existing greenhouse which the nutrition program hopes to grow and utilize fresh produce from, as well as raise cattle and use beef in their program. The Universal School Meals has increased participation in the district, and they couldn't be more happier. Their goal is to bring the program to the next level and definitely continue on with building staff skills to enhance their scratch cooking. Advance to the next. Our next featured school food authority is our Farm Workers Institute of Leadership and Education Development, also known as FIELD. They are headquartered right outside of Bakersfield, and they were founded in 1978 by Cesar E. Chavez. This institute's core purpose is to empower underserved communities. There are 19 locations throughout the state of California. However, this grant was awarded to only 1 location, which services 7 satellites. Prior to receiving the HMI grant, the program was definitely lacking some funds to properly equip a newly constructed central kitchen facility. They were also challenged with limited food purchasing power and available food storage capacity. Field also felt that they were not having enough of an impact and connection with the local community regarding health and nutrition. There was a strong desire to involve the students, parents, and supporting partners with the nutrition department's effort to move more towards scratch cooking. Since receiving this grant money, Field has begun the procurement for the central kitchen items such as a combination cooking oven, food-specific shelving units, a variety of scratch cooking utensils such as an immersion blender, baking materials, and also prep tables and much more. They are working on building out their storage spaces to maximize their ability to safely hold food in large volume as well. Universal Free Meals has aided in positive promotion within the school and lessened some of the paperwork burden within the nutrition department. Now they're able to invest more time in their staff and recipe development. Their core values of supporting the underserved people only elevates the nutrition department's mission to bring together more scratch cooking. And last but not least, we'd like to feature Esparto Unified School District. They are located just southeast of Sacramento. They are K-12 and they have about 1,000 students. Prior to receiving the HMI grant, the nutrition program was really challenged by lacking appropriate kitchen equipment. They did not have trained staff, and fresh produce was really hard to come by. The district's commitment and forward-thinking approach to build a scratch cooking based program that incorporated locally sourced produce is really unmatched. Ideally, where they're located in the valley, they reached out to near partners to really start to see if they could work out connections on how to procure and plan to bring in local produce. Many of the students come from these farming families, and it really just made sense for them to be able to procure locally to support farmers and also for sustainability, since they were having issues with bringing in fresh produce. Since being awarded these grant funds, Esparto has began the process of vetting out this large equipment in order to be able to process this fresh produce locally. And they are really focused on potatoes, carrots, turnips, lettuce, and even jicama. And they've also started meeting with local community members in order to build sustainable programs amongst other school districts too, and create like a real unified partnership. And just amazing things to come there in that area. And then last but not least, we're going to switch to just a snapshot of our HMI map. If you see here, you can, many dots, 264 HMI, they're all small and rural grantees, very spread out. We have some all the way that touch up into Alaska, so touching all coasts. Although this grant project is definitely specific needs to each individual school, they have definitely many common themes. And one is more of a community engagement factor, especially coming out of COVID. The ultimate success of a school nutrition program is dependent on the support of the community, which is not limited to parents, teachers, local businesses, and even the students. We can't forget them. They're our main focus, but sometimes, they get forgotten because we're so focused on everybody else. But definitely a student's voice is important. There are so many amazing ideas and so much energy being put into foster sustainable relationships. Cooking classes, nutrition education, workshops, farm to school programs are just to name a few of the many. And just also highlighting two more districts quickly here out of the state of California. We have RSU 89, and they're located in Maine, and they were recently awarded the Innovation in the Preparation of School Meal Recognition Award that Allison will review in the next few slides. At RSU 89, they are connecting local farmers to the community by featuring items such as fresh squash on the menu. They recently held a taste test where over 110 parents and community members attended to sample and provide feedback. Definitely a great way to make meaningful and impactful connection. And another SFA that we'd like to highlight would be Clear Lake Community School District located in Iowa. They were awarded the Small and or Rural Lunch Trailblazer Recognition Award. And they have actually incorporated taste testing events into their district wellness policy. So it's definitely establishing a footprint there. They focus on local produce that is grown, and they're connecting with the students and the families. During their taste testing events, they display posters with the local farmers' information and informative nutrition facts for the foods being featured. The nutrition program prides itself in prioritizing the promotion of healthy eating habits. And again, these are just a few examples of the many great projects that are happening across the nation. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Emma. So much great work that's happening across the country with these HMI grants. So pretty quickly, I just want to go through some information about the recognition awards. I know we only have a couple minutes left. So next slide, please, Jamie. Great, thank you. So as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, another element of the HMI initiative is this recognition awards program that we're very excited about. Action for Healthy Kids is recognizing and celebrating school food authorities who have made operational changes to improve the nutrition quality of their school meals. as well as SFAs who engage students and families in nutrition education and in the planning and preparation of nutritious school meals. So with these awards, our goal is to recognize school nutrition programs and the hardworking school nutrition professionals, along with the contributions they make daily to their communities. As we all know, school nutrition is a critical part of a holistic approach to child health that has the ability to transform the lives of students across the country, and we deeply believe that. So next slide, please. There we go. So there are two categories of the awards, the Trailblazer Awards and the Innovative Practices Awards. And there are 4 types of awards in each category. The Trailblazer Awards that you see on the screen, the list of 4 there, they highlight SFAs paving the path with gradual changes in school menus to be consistent with the 2020-2025 dietary guidelines for Americans, specifically for reducing sodium in school lunch and added sugars in school breakfast. So there's more information about each of these categories and each of the awards on our website, which we'll share in just a minute. But to speak about the next group of awards, the Innovative Practices Awards, thank you, Jamie, we got the timing really good that time. Next are the Innovative Practices Awards series that highlights unique and innovative approaches not traditionally used in schools, as well as achievements SFAs are making to engage students and families to offer nutritious meals. These SFAs are working towards exceeding the school nutrition standards. And within this category, there are 4 awards that you see on the screen, including Innovative School Lunch Makeover, Innovation in the Cultural Diversity of School Meals, Innovation in the Preparation of School Meals, and Innovation in Nutrition Education. I talked a little bit about the award benefits, so we can go to the next slide. Those are listed on the screen as well. There's a lot that's included. There's a recognition awardee toolkit that includes a digital badge. One of the biggest highlights that folks are excited to receive is the stipend for travel expenses to attend the Healthy Meals Summit that I mentioned earlier. At these summits, we'll be sharing best practices and learning from other school nutrition professionals on strategies they use to earn the recognition awards. And the first one is in October and held in Las Vegas. There are additional benefits. Again, the information is on our website. So just moving to the next slide, I did want to just highlight in red, when you go to our website, healthymealsincentives.org, there is a tab that covers the recognition awards. So that's where you would click for more information on how to apply. And then on the next slide, I just circled the apply now button to highlight it, that that's where you would go and follow the prompts to move through the application for any school food authority. So if you have any additional questions about the recognition awards or Healthy Meals Incentives Initiative in general, Emma and I are welcome all of your questions and contacts. We would love to be in touch with you, and our contact information is on the screen. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share more about what we're doing with HMI.
I'll go ahead and take it over from there. My name is Chelsea Slattery. I am the Director of Nutrition Services, Purchasing and Warehouse with the Yuba City Unified School District. Go ahead and advance to the next slide. So the Yuba City Unified School District is located in Sutter County, which is in Northern California. We're just about 35 miles north of the Sacramento airport. Our district size is just under 13,000 students, and we are district-wide community eligibility provision. Our ISP comes out to about 75.26% free, and we have a total of 22 sites, and out of those sites, 5 of them are sites that are not within our district that we bin meals to, and we also have 8 preschool sites. So I was asked to talk more to the how we engage students and community members in our community with our universal school meals and our school meal programs in general. And so when we are promoting our school meal programs, our main focus is to increase our participation as well as our visibility. And then we communicate with our targeted audience. I'll go over some of the ways that we do
that. And then we also like to highlight our successes within our local community. So some of the ways that we engage students, parents, and community is one of our main ways that we do is through our social media, and we primarily use Facebook for social media. We also have monthly newsletters that we send out the first week of each month that kind of highlight different things that are going on in the department with our menus, with our staffing, things like that. And we communicate like recipes, different interactive things with the hyperlinks within the newsletters. We have a YCUSD nutrition services webpage within our district's website that has some different newsletters and recipes, flyers, and things like that. We also try to make our menus informative and interactive. So you'll see in the photo, like this is our April K-5 menu. We try to put some interesting information on there, fun facts. The other menu that you'll see is our fresh fruit and vegetable program menu, and we hyperlink fact sheets to those menus so that our participants, students, and their parents can go in and they can click that hyperlink and it'll give them nutritional values, facts about those different items that they can try throughout the week. We also host community events, or we participate in community events when given the opportunity. And then we do school-wide events as well. And then this is just another interactive flyer. So we've got like our school wellness policy committee came up with, use this template that was available, and we personalized it to have some hyperlinks to different things like our board policy for school wellness, and a survey to collect feedback from the community on how it's being implemented. So you'll see our nutrition services Facebook page there. This is another thing that we do. We use our Facebook to engage. We have a lot of followers that are primarily parents to help communicate out like the menus and what's being mentioned for that week or for the month. And so we have also done surveys through Google. So we use Google Forms and share those out. We've shared them out via Parent Square, which tends to be a little bit more reach. And so we'll send a link out and ask the parents and students for their feedback on menu items. So we find out what school they attend, and we will ask questions like what items they would like to see more on the menu, if there's items that they would like to see less. And then we also ask for new recipe ideas, and we have found some, gotten some pretty interesting feedback from doing that. And so this is another interactive way that we have gained some feedback and engaged some parents and students in our menu development. So we post on our Facebook so this is just a snip of one of the posts that we did where we're asking for feedback on suggestions of what they would like to see on the menu. And so over on the right-hand side, you'll see where we received some feedback of things that they like, and then some suggestions that were made. So we did this back in January, and then we started a new menu cycle in April, and we were able to take all of the suggestions that were made by parents and students and incorporate them into our spring menu. And so this just shows on here, one of the most important things I think when you're trying to engage the community is when they provide you with feedback or suggestions. I think it's really important that we listen and that we follow through. And so we took a lot of these suggestions that were provided on our Facebook and our Google surveys, and we made sure that we actually put them on our menu. So you'll see pretty much every suggestion that we collected via our Facebook post was incorporated into this menu. And then this is just some of the ways that we engage the community. So some of the things that we do in our district are student farmers markets. We offer those at our fresh fruit and vegetable program site. So that photo there in the middle is our team at one of our recent student farmers markets. We also offer these through our catering department for the community. So that comes with a cost, but a lot of times if there's a community event and they have additional funding, they can purchases student farm or community farmers market, and we'll come out and staff that for them. We started last year post-COVID doing a annual summer meals kickoff event. So that's like a big event that we do with all of our community partners, and it was really successful last year. We had, I think, like over 400 participants come out. We do it in a local park with music and barbecue. And then we also started doing a back to school resource fair. So at the end of our summer meals, like the last week of summer meals, we've done a back to school resource fair. We have different community agencies come out and promote resources that they have available for students, and public health comes out and talks about necessary vaccinations for a kid in kindergarten, and we have public health and dental and all kinds of different resources that are available. And then another thing to participate in is our local farm day, which is offered through our local farm bureau. And then go ahead and move to the slide. So this is, I think, my last slide here is just some tips for community engagement. So one of the tips is to participate or host community events. I think that that's really helpful in promoting your program. At our events, we share different information. We share our nutrition menus and different things that we're doing with our program. We promote our farm to school activities. Contacting your local newspaper and radio station is a great way to help promote your school meal program. Anytime we're doing a big event or a community event, we invite our local newspaper reporter out, and our program's been featured several times on the page of the newspaper, so that's really neat. And then getting site admin involved has been really helpful in promoting school meals. You can get your site admin involved in sending out communications through Parent Square, or just even having them come out to events. It's really nice to have them there, have their support, especially when it's being reported out by like the local newspaper. And inviting the superintendent. So we like to invite our cabinet members out to some of our big events that we have, just so that they can see the work that our staff is doing and how nutritious our meals really are. And then I think a big part of it too is sharing your successes. So it's important that you share out your successes via email, social media, if you have a website, and then also a newsletter to go out to your staff and community. So these are just some examples, and this is our link to our Facebook here. You can search us on YCSD Nutrition Services and give us a follow just to kind of see some of the different things that we're doing to engage our community. So thank you for the opportunity to present today.
So good afternoon. My name is Jamie Phillips. I'm the director for Del Mar Union School District. I'm going to say a couple of things about our district. So Del Mar Union consists of 8 schools. We have 3,714 students. We are currently a declining enrollment district. Right now, we are right around 9.9% free and reduced. Some interesting facts: last year, we averaged 549 meals daily. This year, we're at around, for breakfast, this year, we're around 689, which is about a 25% increase compared to last year. In addition, our lunches are at about 1,941 meals daily right now compared to 1,880. So even though we are declining in enrollment, we are seeing an increase in the amount of meals that are served. Some facts about Del Mar. This is actually the first year that our district has had a program that is in-house. Previously, we were outsourced. We used a contract company to bring food into us. They've been in meals to us. And so in 2022, the new school was built for Del Mar, and outside of the school, they built a central kitchen. Our district is package only. Before universal meals, there wasn't very much participation, but with the implementation of universal meals, meal percentages went through the roof. However, due to the fact that we are packaged only, all of our meals, including our produce, everything has to be packaged, including an apple has to be put in a package before sent to our school sites. So training, with the start of our nutrition program in January, or when I was hired in January, we had to hire an entire staff. So we went from approximately 8 employees to over 16 employees. With that, most of the employees that we hired did not have any experience in nutrition services for schools. There was a vast experience outside of schools. We hired people that were regional managers, people that had culinary certifications, and other various degrees and certifications. During that time, during our intensive week-long training, we went through our different procedures that we created throughout the summer. We went over how to be successful. We also did Serve Safe training, so every single one of our employees would be Serve Safe Manager certified. So taste tests, one thing that we did do is, now that we brought our program in-house, is we have performed multiple taste tests. Being next to an elementary school has been very beneficial for us. We go down and have, every time we get a new product, we take it down, get the students' opinions. Usually before we even take it to the students, we actually taste test it up here multiple times. Sometimes one recipe will take 5 or 6 times before we even decide that we want to even propose and show it to our students. We utilize the feedback that we received to help create our upcoming menus. If they don't like them, then we actually won't go with it at all. So community student feedback off of that. After every menu cycle, we get the feedback from the students, staff, stakeholders, everybody. So we have a QR code that we put on our menu. We also put it on our website where it can link right to the survey. We use that, the flyer. We also put one at the serving line, and we send it to the principals, who send it out to all the teachers to have the students do. Our first survey that we did was in the fall, and we had 749 responses. From that, we saw where we could work on, what they liked. Over 80% of the students did enjoy the new meals over the previous year's menu. What we did see too is that some of the kids that said they didn't like it as much didn't even actually eat with us when we dove into the surveys. Also off of our surveys, we learned where we could improve the surveys. So we found where we could have it so the parents don't actually state whether they like the menus or not. We'd rather get the students' feedback, because they're the ones that are going to be dining with us every single day. A very big thing that we rely on is the support of our community and our superintendent and our board. Our superintendent has been extremely supportive. Dr. McClure, before we even opened up, she did a video for us. It's called Take Two, where she highlights different aspects of our school district. And she talked just about our nutrition program, how we'd be going live in the fall, and just how exciting it was. And it also went in depth a little bit on our central kitchen. Let's see, Rich. Yeah, so after going live, she also got our feedback, and yeah, it just helped us out there. So next slide. One other thing we do is we do utilize share coolers and donations. That was one of the first things we implemented when we went live in the fall. The students, actually, we worked with them, and they have something called a green team that works to find ways to increase the amount of food that's being eaten, cutting down on waste. So they have different bins, which should be universal through all the school districts now, where we have a compost bin, we have recycling bins, we have a spot just for our trays, recycling again, and trash. With that, we have partnered with the San Diego Food Bank, and we have worked with a third party who actually has a small place where families can go and pick out the food they want. And because we're package only, it works out very well. So it's almost like a small market for the families. They can go in and choose whatever food items they want for the day or for the week. We've donated, as of right now, over 15,000 pounds of food this school year. In addition with that, with our share coolers, all the leftovers that end up in the share coolers are brought directly back to our central kitchen, where it's frozen to be shipped off every week. Another area that we utilize is farm to school. We utilize local food for schools grant money to purchase as much local produce as possible. We've been fortunate to partner with multiple farms, including Dossie Farms. We have Local Food Shed Collaborative, and a bunch of other different farms to bring in as much local food as possible. Our dietitian, CK supervisor, has found some very interesting vegetables to bring in. We did cucamelons we showcased. Then we also showcased a farm, and we put it on our website in a farm to school section. An area too we utilize is Department of Defense local for California produce, so we can purchase as much local produce as possible. And one thing I'd always highly recommend is utilizing a marketing team. When I worked at Vista, we utilized Dunk Tank Marketing to create our farm to school flyers to help promote it and to showcase, at the time, almost 50 different farms that we were using throughout the state of California. Here, because our department is much smaller, with only right around 3,700 kids and 16 to 18 employees at any given time, we do all of the flyers in-house, or we actually, sometimes the farmers share a flyer with us. So that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Dave Palmer with Dunk Tank Market. It's nice to see some familiar names scrolling through there. and keeping our time in mind so that we have the Q&A. Real quickly about Dunk Tank Marketing. It's a company that I founded in 2010 and started working on school nutrition programs in 2012. My background was in media and entertainment, so taking a lot of that sort of strategy and trying to apply that to tell the stories of our client districts that do such a great job. On the slide here, Wavecrest Cafe and Vista Unified is one of the first things we worked on, and really trying to brand and elevate the amazing work that the team was already doing, to let people know and really make that something a point of pride for the district. Our real goals on all of this are to help boost and participation, certainly increase engagement, and lift awareness for what's going on. We want our students, our staff, particularly, and our parents and families to really know what our clients are doing and why school meals are such a great opportunity. Even with universal meals, it can be hard to give away free things at times, and there are some other entities that don't necessarily, from a business standpoint, may not be excited that, kids might be getting food at school at no cost rather than spending their money at Starbucks or Chick-fil-A, Panda Express, or wherever they're going. So even with free universal meals, we still find that there is a need to really kind of highlight the work that's doing. And so a lot of times what we really try and do, I'll see if I can go into this next slide here. There we go. I talk about clarity and repetition, which you can see I actually have a hoodie for that. And the goal in this, as we're talking about what we do, is to have a very clear message and to repeat it over and over and over again so that it really does start to sink in. The clarity part really helps because you all that are working on this day to day, there are so many things happening that you want people to know about, but it can get overwhelming for folks, and it's kind of like the menu at a chain restaurant that we all know of that rhymes with Schmee's Cake Factory. They've got so many items on there that you just get overwhelmed. You're not sure what to pick. So, Jamie, if we can go to the next slide. Thank you. This was an example when I started talking with one district of what do you want people to know about your program? And it starts getting, you can see the list of what's on there is vast. And if I asked any of you to just pick one thing to remember, you'd be scanning this whole thing of like, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. And the problem is that our message gets diluted. So what we try and do is really help clients go through a process. Jamie, we can go to the next slide, where we would take all of this sorts of information and really try and filter it down into something that is, again, that has clarity and that can be easily communicated. This is a picture. I saw a couple of my friends at San Diego Unified who worked on what are the things that are so important to your program. And so we started with this process of getting everything on Post-it notes up on a board and going through a process of saying, with all these disparate messages, how can we boil it down to something clear and consistent that we can say over and over again? And so we did that. And if we can go to the next slide. And what we try and come up with is working with the rule of threes, that we generally think about things in threes. It's getting that list of, 80, 90, 100 sometimes things in there into three things that we can talk about, three general categories, and then use the rest of those to support them. So for instance, when we talk about being built on farm to school, we know that that includes procurement. So where our food comes from. First of all, I would, from a marketing standpoint, never say procurement in talking publicly. I'd say this is where our food comes from. And so the way that you can talk about where your food comes from is spotlighting your farmers, talking about the difference of local and regional, talk about how local buying supports our economy, all of those things. Chelsea, it was great to see some of the things that you're doing in there. Jamie, I know, Jamie Phillips, I know some of the stuff that you're doing and things we've done to really spotlight and give people a sense of why local buying is important and that we're actually doing it so they can see where that food is coming from. Nutrition education, again, this is an example of let's have three things that we're going to talk about. Procurement, education, so you can tell people, hey, our meals are low in saturated fat, they're low in sodium. You can compare and contrast them with other food items to say ours may have 4 or 5 times less fat. than what your kids are getting somewhere else. We're serving great food. And really trying to make nutrition education something that is graspable and applicable and practical to someone's lives. And then within the farm to school rubric, we're saying school gardens. You can talk about things like salad bars that feature food at school. Kids love to eat what they grow. All of this is to try and clarify a message so that everything you would send out might have to do with where our food comes from, why it's great for you, and here's something that we're doing at our school. Where it comes from, why it's great for you, what we're doing here at school, right? So you see a little bit more clarity in what's going on with that sort of messaging. So there we go, clarity and repetition. I say that because it takes clarity and repetition to do this. And then, Jamie, if we can go to the next slide. This is one of the things that I have to encourage anybody that's doing marketing to get with, and it's really, really difficult to do and to stay on task. But when you're getting tired of saying something, as the originators of information, most people are just starting to hear you. It takes, my background is in entertainment. I worked at record companies for a long time. The number of times that a song had to be played on the radio, if you remember when people listened to the radio, for it to sink in was massive. And we would be at the record company very tired of a song far early because we'd heard it for a long time. Most people are just getting used to it. There's another practical example. If we can go to the next slide here. There we go. Geico, we're all familiar with this massive insurance company. For over 20 years, they had the same message. They had a clarity of message, which was 15 minutes will save you 15% on your insurance. They used it. They said that using lizards, pigs in cars, a camel on hump day, tag team, a caveman, all sorts of things. But the message was the same. 15 minutes, save you 15% on your insurance. If it wasn't working, they wouldn't be using it for 20 years. But that's the sort of creativity that can come with the clarity of message. You can say it a lot of different ways, but the core message should remain the same. So go to the next slide. If you haven't guessed by now, I really like the clarity and the repetition, and I'm going with that. But it works, and we've seen that. There were some surveys that Chelsea talked about, and I know that Jamie talked about, and that we've done with other clients. As you repeat these messages over and over, and you work that into surveys, polls, that sort of thing, it will be amazing how many people in your community start to take advantage of, or it sinks in, and they make that a point of pride. And I love seeing when a nutrition program is a point of pride for a school district, coming from parents, from teachers, and from kids. I actually ran into some this morning that were asking for recipes from one of the districts, which was a pretty cool thing to see. So there's plenty more I could talk about, but I would just say, find your clarity, your statement of clarity, and just repeat it and have fun finding the ways to repeat that over and over and over to get the core message of what your program is doing.
Hey, thank you, Dave, for the clarity and repetition. So that concludes the speaker portion of our webinar. We're now going to shift into questions. Before we do questions for the speakers, I do want to pause and have a moment of reflection. There's a lot of information that was shared. And so now we'd like to know from participants, what are some strategies that you would like to implement? So just with the same poll as earlier, go ahead and scan that QR code or go to menti.com and enter the code and then enter your responses, and there will be a word cloud that starts to form so we can see what people are thinking and how they'd like to transform their school nutrition.
While you all are adding your words to the word cloud, I'm going to close out our panelist presenters, which is asking you a final question, which is, what do you envision for the future of school nutrition? And in your opinion, how could that be achieved? And we'll go through in our speaker order to answer that question, starting with Rachel. What do you envision for the future of school nutrition, and how can that be achieved?
Honestly, my vision for school meals is that they are universally truly available to everyone who needs a meal, that they meet the cultural and dietary needs of the student population, and that they're delicious meals.
Thank you, Rachel. How about Allison and Emma?
Sure, thank you. I'll go first. I was thinking about this question, and I imagine that my response is probably very reflective of everyone else on this call. But for me today, I think what I would focus on is really that school nutrition professionals would be recognized for all the hard work that they do to serve our communities on a daily basis, and that the narrative around school nutrition really truly reflects what all the amazing things that are happening in schools across the nation. I think that's really important. I think how we can get there, part of that is communications. I think marketing, as Dave just outlined for us. I also think strong voices, collaboration, and to put a plug, recognition. So the recognition awards program can be an important part of bringing attention to all those amazing things that are happening in schools everywhere.
And I'll go next. And really, I think, yes, there's lots of repetition in our answers. Something I think that's a little different, though, would just spin off would be we're just not serving healthy meals, but we're really establishing lifelong healthy eating habits and really starting to be educators in the lunchroom as well, the classroom, and just, investing in the whole child. And again, how we get there, investing in the relationships with stakeholders, professional development, again, being lifelong learners ourselves, and just, again, advocacy around policy and funding.
Chelsea, what do you envision for the future of school nutrition, and how can that be achieved?
I think I would like to see us continue to have universal free meals across the board, not just in California, but nationwide. It would really be nice to help take away that stigma. And then also just, I know right now in California, farm to school is a huge push. So to continue supporting our local farmers and ranchers with procuring local food.
Chelsea, Jamie?
So what I'd like to see is just local produce, fruit, vegetables available to all the students everywhere, K through 12, on salad bars. How that could be. Another thing I'd like to see too is that the students have enough time to actually go through the salad bars and to get the fruits and vegetables, enjoy them, so they have time to eat.
Thank you. And Dave, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I love redefining the perception of school food, and then to the point down the line where the expectation, whether it's in a restaurant or a grocery store, is that the food offered there would match the quality of school food, and that we're on the other side of the comparison.
Well, thank you to our panelists for your presentations today. I know I took something from each and every one of your talks, and I look forward to applying it into my line of work and into my community as well. But I'm going to turn it over to our participants on the webinar today. What questions do you have for our speakers? You can type those into the chat and we'll answer those in the order received. You can raise your hand and we'll call on you and you can unmute and ask. But we have about 15 minutes, 20 minutes set aside for questions. So feel free to ask away. And Jamie, if you want to go back to the word cloud, while people are thinking about their questions, what were some of the responses that came up?
Yeah, so we got about 43 responses, and it looks like nutrition education, taste tests, farm to school, clarity and repetition. So Dave, it's working. Salad bar. collaboration, scratch cooking, more colorful fruits and vegetables, student involvement, marketing, conquering stereotypes, professional development, working together, training, student feedback, student surveys, social media. We are local.
So it sounds like there's also, the participants took away a handful of kind of strategies that they would like to implement at their local level as well. Have any questions come up while we were reading? There's another chat. Okay. A question about California, wondering how California is dealing with the question, do children have to bring doctor's notes to be able to take a milk substitute? That question was posted in the chat.
Maybe Chelsea or Jamie, you have experience with this, that there's maybe an allergy or lactose intolerance or something where some students cannot drink milk. Are they, and they would like a substitute, do they need a doctor's note, or how is that handled?
What we have is we have them turn in a milk substitution form, which is available under the CDE CNIP section form. Because last updated in, I think, October or November of this 2022 or 2023. And also in there, we also have the options of the two different kinds of milk that's available to them, whether it be lactate or soy milk.
But do they need a doctor's note when filling out that form?
We have not required one. It doesn't have that on the milk substitution form requiring that.
Chelsea, is it the same process for you?
Looks like in the chat, California and USDA state a parent or doctor note is required. Thank you for adding that to the chat. Let's take 3 more minutes and you can ask any question to any of the presenters, to the group at large, and go from there. 3 more minutes for questions, but also shared earlier in the chat for ways to stay connected with the local school wellness policy collaborative. We do have some resources that were used for today's presentation. So links to the Action for Healthy Kids, Healthy Meals Incentives, School Meals for All, Institute for Child Nutrition, and staying connected with the local school wellness policy collaborative. Circling back in the chat regarding the milk substitute, is that an issue that any of our food service directors are working on?
I guess going back to that, for us, having the doctor or the milk accommodation form that's filled out by the parent. So that is sufficient for us. And through every audit I've had, we've never had an issue.
How about Chelsea or any other school food service staff attending the webinar?
Seeing no further questions at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie Lamb to close us out. But I personally want to thank all of you for being on the call today, and look forward to hearing more from all of you about your implementation in the future.
Great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. We are asking everyone to take a moment and scan the QR code on your smartphone to fill out a short survey, just so we can get your feedback on how you liked the webinar, and we can plan for future ones. And then finally, I would love to give a round of applause and thank you to all of our speakers for sharing their time and expertise with us. So thank you so much, Rachel, Allison, Emma, Jamie, Chelsea, and Dave for being here with us today.
Thanks
And
for
then, yes. So that concludes our webinar. So again, please fill out the survey and then we'll hang around in case there are any questions. Thank you, everyone.